No. Samala Tisteleche, Dine, Tanzo Diri, Caracosh, Shorda. The Minty Rada, Digi, Diawa Tuyada, that is to my set I had the Korea Tortushi.
Good afternoon to everyone on this rather cool Sunday afternoon. So today we're going to, for our last talk this year, going to look at how to fulfill this innermost wish that we all have, this wish to experience only happiness and not to have any problems or difficulties at all.
Tiki yoya chita, kanga seye dondalia, da lega inada, church inada, tishi cham inada, chasa, da miudi jedaro chike kagaremado, dondala, kanga seya dan, digi tuyagi, dondalaya, and tichigurwa.
And this wish for happiness, coupled with the desire to be freed from problems and difficulties, is the motivation behind everything that we do. Whether it's going to work, whether it's myself here teaching the Dharma, whether it's having holidays or time with our friends, everything we do is motivated by this desire to experience only happiness.
아주 신고야디 계시면 차고래 제가 아주 강아세다 디기주다데 마신 같이 아니 강아세게 자와체베네 디기주야게 자와 먹고 제베네 디기용에게 잡라 아니 강아 먹을래디고로 제가 저기 디기주탄기 레가레타데 딱다라 마차바체 마차나 아니 마신 바이나 아니 디기주야게 디기 고고에 디던달래 레가 먹고 지어도 디 디기용에게 잡려야 강아 먹으실래요 거라 제가 디진장아주 강아세디야 강아세게 탑람령이 강아세기 있으냐 지 자와베지 먹고 지어도 강아세게 잡라 강아 망할래요 거라 제가 디 강아세다다 디기주탄지 마신 바이나 안 될이야 아주 강아 망할래야 책으로.
As our underlying motivation behind everything that we say, do, and even think is to achieve a state of happiness and to be freed of problems and difficulties. As this is the case, it's imperative then that we understand how to actually achieve happiness and how to actually overcome problems and difficulties, because if we lack a clear understanding of what is a method that leads to success in this regard, then no matter how much effort we make to achieve happiness, it may end up that our problems just grow and increase ever further. So despite desiring happiness, unwishful situations often come about. So therefore it's imperative we understand what the correct method or the skillful method is to actually achieve happiness.
아니 계획이 된다 강아 세계에서는 아니 지기 소소가 강아 연구도 디 강아디 파세에게 탑람들이야 샹달이야 너비기야다 아니 샹달을 두부자야 아니 지금 아주게 데네시 직직으로 와 디차사 소소가 강아디 세에게 된다 소소기 디기 주야라 디수기 바시 지기 제사 바시 지겐들이야 디 파가주게 매버서 삼제 안들이야 두부자야 아니 지게 강아테야 디체유 안 세솔이야 디기 용야다 강아 세계 잡라 강아 망하다 둥아 망하 차이 제거로 근데 디나시 아니 가주게 배네 지구바 미망보게 지구바 디기게 안 지기 되는 소소기 미션달라 지구소야다 미지 강아테야 되셔서 가르치는 지구로서는 소소라 디기 구구도 안 가서 미릭 대술에 디기 구구도 가서 강아도 강아서 해 디수고 수고도 디 강아서 하는 가서 매바 수고에 삼제 디치네 지고베게 아니 미 강아 먹무티고 디수셔서 돈달라 가서 삼다와 있나 코노스데 디기 돈다치다 코노스 강아세에게 돈달라 야가 리고래 진짜 야가 레나다나 코노라 디기 중송에 강아 연구들랍나 강아 망아 리고래 디기 유나이 잡라 강아 망아 리고래
So this is an important point to reflect on, that the motivation behind all activities is this wish for happiness. And this is the case for all beings. But having this wish for happiness, but not being skillful in how to achieve it, then people engage in activities which cause harm. So when people talk in a harsh manner towards each other, or act in a harsh manner towards each other, this they are doing because they want happiness. And if to take an example to take one example, but it can apply it very broadly, the behavior of terrorists, they engage in these acts of terror because they desire happiness. And they believe that other people are standing in their way of achieving happiness for themselves and their group. And therefore they engage in these acts of terror because they believe that is the skillful path to achieve happiness. But of course happiness doesn't come from such behavior. Only suffering follows. Suffering is just compounded. So that's one illustration, but the general point is that there is this mistaken approach to the achievement of happiness, and it's expressed through harmful activity, whether physical or verbal, whether of an extreme type such as terrorism, or subtler everyday types.
제가 편전 나가러 제가 편전 마찬가지 마제디 가르치는 마제고서는 땅 안으로 제가를 디기고도 파쇼 제가들 안으로 제가를 디기를 뇌기도 되네자 콘줄이야 강아지지 콘줄이야 직 강아지 콘줄 매바 쇠샤와이나 땅 안으로 디기 연구를 안으로 강아지를 삼삼제는 안젤이야 제가 편줄이야 마제야다 디지고로 제가 마제비기 야유에 dumdetelya an pachotelya kanga mangbo tigore andi ma jayu kablo sosogi mi mame mangbo hiru gore chesa dine enza ani kanga yu digi se da digi duya da kanga se ge sabla ani ngazu mi mangbo sokto joya da andi benju tone kanga de ya da andi ma jayu ani pacho digi midelya gedi na konjinje ne gedi na da goga predu kabla ya nyoba cheya da dur joya ma do ya joya me ba chesa dine enza 주보자데 마자디기 dondaala 가르치고서는 소수기 기합디기 요하다 소수 기합기 강아세게 don다 지고때 이내야 디기 아니 디기 템보치다 강아세 두고 말때 고균 무퇴네 강아 요하디 라디고로.
And similarly, when there is conflict between nations, this comes about due to individuals desiring happiness, the same wish for happiness and to be freed of problems, but they identify another nation as being an obstacle to the achievement of this happiness. There is a belief that for our country or our group to have success and power and influence and wealth, we need to overcome our opponents because they are standing in the way of our power, wealth, and influence, and therefore they engage in these acts of violence. But this doesn't lead to happiness, of course. Rather, great harm is inflicted on the peoples of the other nation, as well as those within one's own group, one's own soldiers, one's own civilians. So much harm comes from this. And even once the conflict has come to an end, the gross or the coarse external conflict has come to an end, inner turmoil remains. There's resentment towards the other group. There's no harmony between peoples. So all this comes, this harmful behavior results from this wish of desiring happiness, but not being skillful in how to achieve this.
donda zawi samta wana sosu ki khabla tiki khudu sosu ki khabya kanga se hu sem ndi donda la ma ja da ani jiguba digi na sosu ki mirik sosu ki chulu desulya ani kanga jigo shidi sungkyup che hu digi nganzo le digi chu hu do chesa nganzo kanga se hu do di donda che de so du simju je ba ina deni ki je chasa karsure digi ruya da kanga se ge donda che ba nya la charo kumaro kyavene sosugi digi dubyada sosuga kanga seyedo na kuma kyavgo kyawa chadego ine dene du chine yanja simju chine da dene gi digi duyada kanga seyedo na lega leba digi dumde delya 강아들이 망할리기도 디기 망할리기도 심주 제바이나 강아들 망할리고래 강아들 망할리고 진짜 누구 지는 아주 심주 제바이나 뒤서 하고야 레라고로 와다는 거
When I'm quite confident that you have much more knowledge about the reasons behind geopolitical conflict in this world and the reasons behind that acts of terrorism are performed. But if we go behind the reasoning and we dig to the subtler levels, it all comes down to the same basis: this desire for happiness, the desire to be freed of any kind of problem or difficulty at all. And it's with this desire that a nation will engage in warfare with another nation, believing that this is the path to happiness. And we hear this expressed that we need to engage in warfare to bring about peace. There is a view that this is a method to achieve happiness. And likewise with those who engage in acts of terrorism, they believe that these are the necessary endeavors to engage in to bring about happiness for those of their race or their religion or who hold their view, and therefore they believe that this is a path to happiness. And then on a smaller scale, those who engage in criminality, whether it's fraud or whether it's stealing, they believe that this will bring happiness. This is the method to eliminate problems and difficulties. So it's always the same motivation behind whatever one engages in. And then our job here is to look at the results that come from this behavior and assess with honesty, is the desired happiness being achieved or is problems growing? And we start with these very coarse examples because they're easy to understand, and then apply them to all other situations too.
그래서 내내기 디기주의다 동아세계 탑람 되네 제바디다 가르치는 연구를 해라는 대항아주 간슬리고래서나 마자야디 간슬리고래 지구바디기 미수야다 강아샤나 강아자야디 간슬리고래도 디기되바다 동아미되바 디기주의 동아되야 디 굴롱라야 안에 가서서는 네 현리야 디수바 채와지가 삼모 지상 대술에 채와지 콘솔을 매봐 써봐 있나 콘솔을 내봐지 콘솔을 강한테 콘솔을 매봐 써봐 있나 되는 아디기의 연구를 네 강한 세계에 선거로 지상 현리에 채와지 배 삼로 이 현행이 채와 현리 내봐지 배 삼로 공로 되는 시켜지 여봐서 네 공로데까지 숙체로베네 현리 내봐지야지 숙체적으로 현마자야래 아니 지금 미쇠야래 강보도시 따야래 차상도시 디기 체외 삼보들고 제상 삼로디 노트 차대요 다 같이 맞아 셀레 네버지기 생기 강아지기 있으면 디 삼로디 노트래 디기 삼로디기 돈을 내가 쳐야 돼 차상 노트 내제 디기 주에 잡라 강아 망알리고래.
So with this understanding we can see that people engage in these very harmful activities, whether it's starting warfare or engaging in acts of terrorism, because they desire happiness. But of course we can see that from this desire for happiness, these techniques do not lead to the achievement of happiness. Harm comes. So here, the mistaken view is that in order to fulfill my desired happiness, these people that are stopping or preventing the rise of happiness within me, they need to be destroyed, they need to be eliminated. Those people, that group, is the cause for me suffering. This mistaken way of thinking, this way of thinking that thinks, in order for me to achieve happiness, the group that other group, I need to eliminate, I need to destroy. From this way of thinking, only problems increase. Happiness cannot be found.
나 아주 계속서려야 아주 미계령어를야 삼다외네 강아여야 될이야 아주 리니로 책으로 왔다는 아주 류리야 나자다 내니기 중화 추진 수불을 나자다 내니 토네 안에 강아 지리거래 아 양아지 소소게 삼로 땅타 토네 삼땅타 토네 아주 강아 지리거래 강아 영화야기 아주 계를 미계가 지를 삼다외네 강아 영다디 리니로 책으로 와.
So we start with the reflection by taking illustrations that are easy to understand, and then we bring it to ourselves and we start to look at ourselves. So here, if we think of the problems and difficulties that we experience, we can say generally that they come from two sources. One is relating to our physical body, such as illness and physical pain. And the second source of our problems is to do with our inner world, our way of thinking. So these are, generally speaking, these are the two sources of our problems, either to do with our health or our body, and secondly, our way of thinking. And matching these two sources from which our suffering arises, we have the same two sources for happiness. We can experience happiness based on our physical body, and also certainly with our way of thinking. So therefore, our physical body can be a source of both suffering as well as happiness, and our way of thinking can also be a source of suffering as well as a source of happiness.
강한 세티 탑람디 당아 저기 넘기네 아주 배시 땅고로 앞에는 칼라사야다 최된제야래 안지기 면주제야래 면주제야 당아도 캬바 있는 캬비기 캬용도 두로 투보로 관제야 조보셔야 되리 아직 차와도스네 아직 될야 지금 롱스버 다야다 되네지는 저기 류기 강아디게 세야디 되니기 토네 강아디 세 두고로 와다 In
terms then of our physical experiences, this we have quite some experience and skill in eliminating to a certain degree these problems. So for example, in order to prevent or limit the arisal of illness, we know we need to take care of our diet and exercise, and if we are ill, seek skilled medical advice and follow that treatment. Likewise, depending on the weather, like today, we all wear very warm clothing, or if it's hot, then we turn on the air conditioning. So we have quite some experience in the sources of physical suffering, as well as solutions to physical suffering.
예, 아주 수분 낮아다, 낮아야다, 차바다, 되니까 좋도야다, 되니까 돈에 강화야디, 그 숙쟁기다, 배셔다지, 숙지 배셔다지, 세거마도 삼노다지가 어다 직 좋도도 생각가 삼마가자다, 직 나 좋도야디, 알람가 투야 갈가 보러. 가지 차베네 어당아 직 삼노다지네 아주 둘로 마고 반에 삼노다지네 네 차야디 매워서야 될 갈래 가보 책으로 제가 디네서 삼노단에 디니게 수비 토네 수기 토네 중앙 추비 토네 아니 내나서 강화용하디 그런 수진기 토네 아주 세고 책고래 디나시 맞아 삼노단에 토네 아니 지강아 돼야디 야디야 삼노시 다제 매워서 얼마도 양 치수진 비지 다제 아니 매워서 두고 말아.
So with these two divisions for sources of suffering and happiness, the way we can come to understand them is that where we're experiencing physical difficulties, that solution requires a physical solution, not a mental solution alone. So for example, if one is very hungry, merely thinking about, I'm not hungry, or thinking, oh, I have lovely food and I'm eating it, but not actually doing anything, that's kind of difficult to resolve the problem of hunger. And likewise, if one is very cold, just resolving the problem through our thought process alone and not relying on a heater or warm clothing is very difficult to solve the problem. So to overcome physical problems, some physical activity is required. And then similarly, when the source of our problems is our way of thinking, this can only be resolved well through changing our way of thinking. It's very difficult if we rely on the material world to bring about solutions to our suffering that arises from our way of thinking.
Dine zang nga zuge jige samlo gi thone no ri chung che ane dunga se di dunga ya di nga zuge samlo ji ta che samlo no ri shi ma se yong de ane dunga kanga se tu wa ma do samlo ma ta wa che nga no mi di ro wa de pe di ji go ro wa 소수기 레가로다 된다로다 마도바다 지데 강아 망고 체여도가 베네 강아 체도 안에 부스도고 슈차 안에 디 강아디 슈 레도다 나 강아세야디 가르스텀 지역으로서 대면주의 제제 탑시에 요요 말와 둘로 고야다 칼라사야다 디데 돈에 탑시에요 말이야 메디아는 가지고 잔다 삼노당 나는 돈에 탑시에 다데 마신 와체 안에 가르치고 그래서네 디 강아데 세게 돈달라 안에 두세사야다 안에 직기 창 알아 최매 동제 되네 두 제대 곧 잠바르지 마선 배 잠바디기 토르제 잠바 메워서 셰그로 와 되네 제대다 삼로 가야 따야 메바르 쇠제 되네 직게 르시시로직 소소게 강한 리고 말 메디 디니기 토네 두세 사제 강한 세야 된다로 두세 먹고 세야다 창 최매 동야다 니 용거로 봐디 탑시디 먼저 삼로 땅한게 삼로 돈에 강한 용하디 탑시 디네 지거데 디기다 세트야디 가보자고 그래.
Where the source of our problems comes from our way of thinking, it's imperative, firstly, that we identify correctly identify that this is the source of our suffering, and secondly, that the way to deal with that is to change our way of thinking. It's only through developing and changing our way of thinking that we can overcome our mental suffering. So, for example, I understand that many people experience difficulty in the place of work. There's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and from this people suffer greatly. So when one is suffering in that way, no matter what clothing one wears or how delicious the food is that one has, that's not going to resolve one's workplace stresses and pressures. Only our way of thinking does. But many people don't recognize this with great clarity. Hence, they try and resolve their inner turmoil, their stress and problems at work, through relying on material things, such as drinking alcohol, smoking, taking drugs, all so that they can try and forget their pressures and their suffering. But relying on a material solution to overcome a difficulty that comes about due to a way of thinking, this is not able to resolve our problem and may in fact only lead to our difficulties increasing.
강아지 매번 로지 초고래 제 두제디 세제 니 누베디 냠로디 양 강아지 다라리 호와 제가 강아 매번 쓰고 디나시 아라 쇠매도마다 라진디 비카블 삼라 가양 코고 말 제가 르시로 제 차디로 강아 코로 매가서 다디 창게 누베디 조로도 양 강아 다라리고 제가디 니기 죽지기 베네 숙젠지 베제 따는 아주 생기 강아지 숙젠지 베제 따는 매 세트에 매바래.
The material world, this alone cannot solve the conflict that we feel in our inner world. If it could, then taking some drugs or smoking some marijuana, which does have a relaxing impact and help one to forget one's problems, then if it was effective, one's problems will be gone. But the reality is, once the drugs wear off, the problems return, and hence the need to take them again. Same with alcohol. One drinks to relax and forget one's problems and ease the stress and the inner turmoil, but that doesn't solve the problem which comes about from the way of thinking. Hence there's a need to repeat that behavior again and again. So in brief, the material world, that alone cannot resolve problems that come about due to our way of thinking.
디 강아 세기 찹라 나자 망아 수고로 수불을 내제 수부 교고 차 되네 되네 semje kanga yoba dikala ya subu kyo cha subu naza dene subu kyo cha naza manga charo dene za ndi phege sabla nyoya di manga le gorba di tabji je di manzugi samna ta kanga yoba de kanga sedebi tablam di singme ba ma sing ba je da tablam 노주 제샤로 되네 노주 제반자 되네 고 제부디 야고 준거 말에 강아지마도 야가 준거 말에.
The reality is, if one tries these techniques, relying on the material solutions such as alcohol or cigarettes or drugs to solve one's inner turmoil, in fact, beyond some short-term relaxing, benefit doesn't come. It's likely to have a harmful impact on one's health and perhaps on one's mental state as well. So this mistake of thinking that the material world can solve our inner conflict, that mistaken understanding leads to the unskillful behavior. The problem comes down to ignorance or to a lack of knowledge. And when one lacks knowledge, then it's not that surprising that one engages in or employs techniques that are not skillful, and techniques that just lead to problems growing and being compounded, rather than our desired goal of happiness being achieved.
lokbo yawo che ane chi pa yawo 전부 가제 제나 소소 부고 있나다 소소기 지 분야 있나 소소 원신 외네 소소기 파 지기 배 로고 제랑 지 야wo 제베네 ane 파쇼는 뭐네 지기 소소야 ane 지 식수 쉐야다 남기 지 신앙주 쉐나 만년 바체 안 다다마저 강하면 우제 저로 와다 디네 강아데 삼로 다도데 부스도 슈 차다 네 파야 워시다 말이야 지 추야고 지금은 삼제 디네 부스도 뭐 삼다에도 디네 삼르디 야네 야도 야네 다도 안 삼로 직슈 쳇쳇쳇 디네 강삼 질려 진님 네 지게 니톤에 삼로 강아레도 다 디네 강아 제미야 강아 세야 된다라 두세세야데 안야 지게 장도에 디용고로 봐 진짜 디네기 디 아는 아주 대지시에 와나지 강아리 디 강아 세두고 말 제가 디 가르다고 했으면 삼로다시 유아 땅고래 제다 삼 다디 삼로 가는 땅고래 해야지 내가 저기 삼로 유아 가는 땅고래 해야지 근데 아직 다 삼로 땅 유아 땅오나 강아 세야 돼 삼로 가는 땅고래 세 디워실이기로 와
And similarly, when those that we are close to, whether they are our children, our partner, our companion, or other relatives or close friends, when our relationship with any of them is going through a difficult period and they speak to us in a harsh manner or an abusive manner towards us or act to us in some unwanted way, this disturbs our mind greatly. And from this, people experience tremendous emotional turmoil, feeling taken advantage of, taken for granted, feeling used, and really hurt inside. And when experiencing that, then it's very common for people to turn again to the material world to try and ease their pain, whether it's drink or drugs or shopping, in some way turn towards the material world to try and ease this inner pain. But as has been shown before, the material world, material objects, cannot solve adequately the suffering that we experience mentally. What we need to do is change our way of thinking, our way of dealing with these issues. And this is what we will talk about now further.
두신 제바로 제고 당보 제바로 신데 땡이 콜야 데니게 펜버루쟁이 지 상보라 치거데 술야 데니게 지 야고라 지금이는 선배 가르나스 파 제바 제도 아니 고 삼문 나려야 아니 지게 가르리고라스네 지 소소기 되바 마주바다 그런 거 되행함다 아지 그런 게 되어 마주비 토네 먼저 강아 지고 디장 알야 디 지금이 가지체 나가려야 안직 통조 따야다 즉 getting the Sime Tango Sempik Samlo Yungdua, Jisa Denis and call car Mindua, Cocaras Coron, Deva, Sosurana, Sosugi, Deva Mevadilla, Mijesane, and Jedical Hopchagua, Jisa, Sosugi Yamyon, some Dajem. Bene Sosulia, Jiggy. Kala disag de bagini me bachilia michi kyoron kala sa goras ngi zagi melagi ruwa de ngone chesa ko zagi mesga ruwa khali chebe ne chesa dina shin da kol de ba me ba ro koron gu de ngam da digi da jigi mari bachi disa samno ko sam ta tha nor de yores chesa ko sam ta mashin ba res chesa ko de mashin ba da de ni ge sam ta mashin no de chana an su se ka nga yung gre chesa de ni se ka nga kala ka minduwa sampe ge da de ni ge ko sam ta shin mun se ning ji sampe kol ya 잠재 검샤월 잠재 검바이나 안디기 소슬야다 나이까지 직배 부소고 삼는 리고 맞음 회식식 차고를 홀이야 잠재 검바이나 코칭이 민도 닝제다 홀 하고 민당에 지내기 미 약보 제반나 약보 제발이야 그진 진련 제하데 자신 민도다 닝제 코삼다 마신 바래 노트 차고 닝제야 선배 닝제 공부래 대대 닝제 선배나 내내 콜이야 만주게 심 마지와 강한 링 바래 제사디 디 samlo tae de ngadu denik busu to samlo le di kolya jeba je ko samlo kare ki du chesa denik kanga duwa khola denik kanga za ning je sempege pa ning ji gom sha wa na di ga zo kom ba na nga zu gi di sempege kanga di se tu bo le
Staying with the illustration of when we on the receiving end of a harsh speech or behavior from a loved one, which it tends to really upset the mind a lot. The skillful way to deal with this is to take a bit of space, a bit of time, and to look at this situation with honesty and with clarity. And if one does have a meditation practice, then one will have some understanding already of how our own mind works and our own, what triggers our own emotional responses and so forth. So when someone, especially someone that we care for, speaks to us in a harsh manner, an unwarranted manner, we need to remind ourselves that we too sometimes talk to others in this way, and especially we also do talk to our loved ones in this way. And why do we do so? Because they probably are acting for similar reasons as ourselves. And if you've reflected on what was said earlier, if you have done prior reflection on that, you would have come to see that everything that we say and everything that we do and all our thoughts are motivated by a wish for happiness and a wish to be freed of problems and difficulties. And this motivation that underlies everything that we say, do and think is not unique to any one individual but is shared amongst all beings. So therefore, this person, our loved one, is speaking to us or acting towards us in this unwarranted way because they desire happiness. And they feel that their happiness is being obstructed, perhaps by us, perhaps by something completely unrelated to us. And therefore, because they desire happiness, they are talking to us or acting towards us in this way. Their mind right now is in turmoil. Their desire for happiness has led to them talking to us in this harsh way. So thinking like this serves a couple of purposes. First of all, we start to see the other person as not so different from ourselves, because we act in a similar way too, for the same reason. And secondly, we come to understand that it's not due to us that they are acting or speaking in this way, even if we've done something wrong. They are speaking to us in this way because of their own way of thinking, their own inner world, their own inner turmoil. So therefore, there's nothing for us to take personally here, even if we have done something wrong. The way they are speaking to us is due to their own inner world, their own inner turmoil. So therefore we don't need to take it so personally. So with these two together, not taking it personally and seeing them as similar to us, our mind is more spacious and we're not getting emotionally disturbed. And this then enables us then thirdly to see that they are suffering right now. Their mind is in an unhappy place. They are upset. And this is someone we care for. And when someone we care for is going through difficulty, naturally love and compassion for them arises. And now that we are not taking this person and we're seeing them as similar to ourselves, love and compassion will arise for them. And that means when they speak to us in this harsh manner, love and compassion arises. We are not suffering. Our mind is undisturbed. And we are able to respond skillfully.
Denigi, Nanzuki, Ninja Mahombachi, Kolia, Chikpa, Junju, Janja, some Dijanja, some Mongbo, some Tadu, Delia, Ninja, some Matavena, Galligisne, Manzula, some Maje, Kaji, Shu Maha Taidu, Tenanza, Sim Makiwacha. Denea, and Kolia, Gun, or Kolia, Contralangri, as a Contraki, Contraki, the Nanzu Kashi and Kolia, Nambu Duyada, Don Nambu Dukcha Duyada, Sik Ducha Layada, Dene Chadu. And then our Julia, Denisha, and the Pajo de Haji Koralan, Deni Shukcherdo, then the Pajo de Julia, and the Muduchet, Durjet, then on the corner Shukcherdo, Koroniga Shukcherdo, and Zingata, and sorry, died in Yanachego, Counter Kazi Shukcherdo, and Dikingi, Pajo de Nea, the Rala, the Rajan Nigel Nea, and sorry, died in Yanachimbuligora, Denigi. Delia, Ninja Magombache, and Digi Court, Mango, sometimes, Koro Shukcherle, Koro Shukcherle, Nambu Dukchat, and Sigman Balab, Digit, and Digi Durdra Mother, Yar, Chambuchato, Yomare. It's not that the next some magic call not to reach as a Diginach, Ninja cum, then be Jamze cum Shaban, so Corlan Gomar, so the bear she did, some Lily Chagore. Some Lily Chabanza, so Gedi in a collia, and Jamzi Gomba Inza, and so the new social robot chair and Dubayana, Gidina Holla Mutini robot chair the Chiada, and Jia then Pajo Media and Gazam Chiglia and Sem de Guacha Tetu workers and Pa Galmalam Duja Malam su Duja like Marwata, Gaza called Chobanga in there, or Dangi Gaze Duja Jena, digging Alia Jiggy Yapura Chig to some Giliglis in it, do a Tetu work, but the names are Delia, so that so Sugi Semba Maki Badi Sunyalia set up to the Pajo de la Sem Maki Badi Yapu Thubten Rabten, so Sosorang is Sem Maki Bacha Canis Yungudu, the Canis Sigu to Meva Soyada, Sosu Hele Chayadi, Canis Sam Tangu de Labna, Shelia, Delia and Jambat and Zewa Samdan, Sosu Sem Hele Chagres, Chizan Soso Kora Kigmare, Kora Magena, Tsupiada, Don Mahoteada, and Shanle Chawachi, Samlet Ligmare, Di Malena, Di Gangama, which said to go. She's a Denigi Samdan, Denigi Jam, but some the Dinia, some of the Gazi, Shukcher, and Nuba Cheshire to watch, so Kora the Gedina, Union to water. She's a Denigi sometimes the Sosugi, Ganga Simgi, Ganga Seadi. Nuba Chembuchita, Gun with Dengi, Pa Ganga Setuya, and the Yungor. The nature same year Ganga Child, some China, so Digi, which is that Digi the Mutine, Yona Chawa, which is that Deneza, and the Denigi Kabla, some Danhati, and the Kartangos and Delia, Jamzeocom, some Dangur, yes.
The reality is, in this life thus far, we certainly have spoken to those that we care for, those that are our loved ones, in harsh ways and acted to them in a harsh manner. And likewise, we have also been on the receiving end of that many times, and we are likely to encounter such situations probably many more times again. So with the certainty that our loved ones are going to act towards us in an unwishful manner, we then need to think about, well, how best to respond. And in general, we can say there are one of two paths that we can follow. The one is the general path in the world, that when people speak to us act towards us in an unwarranted manner, then we get upset and we respond in a similar way. Or if perhaps the other person has a lot of power over us, we stay quiet, but inside the turmoil is the same. So that's the one way that one can respond. And we probably have done so many times, and if we look at what the outcome of that is, if the person before one is angry and upset, and we become angry and upset and respond in a similar way, the situation is only going to worsen. And whatever happens in that moment, even if one of the two parties dominates the other, later, or when you part, both people, yourself and the other, your minds are disturbed, unhappy, and will stay so for quite some time, thinking back perhaps for hours or for even weeks or months, thinking back to that incident, and anger again arising about something that happened a long time before. And when you meet them again, there's no sense of harmony or closeness, but rather apprehension. So this is the usual way that one responds in the world. And this is not skillful. This does not lead to happiness for oneself, and certainly not for the other. The skillful way, the way that a true practitioner, a skilled meditator would respond, is through having come to know their workings of their own mind. They are able to apply that knowledge and experience skillfully in these situations. Then, when someone treats them in an unwarranted manner, in a harsh manner, their mind will stay spacious and calm, understanding that this person before them desires happiness, wants to be freed of problems, but they're not skillful in how to achieve happiness. And therefore, the emotions have taken over them, the emotions are dominating them, and they are suffering now. So the skillful meditator will know that the unhappiness of this person that's being expressed towards them is nothing to be taken personally, but is really rather about the other person's way of thinking. And this enables the skilled meditator to keep their mind spacious and calm, and for love and compassion to arise for the other person, and genuine love and compassion. When love and compassion arises within one's mind is spacious and peaceful. And this is the understanding from a Buddhist perspective of happiness. When our mind is peaceful, this is happiness, because our mind is undisturbed by afflictions. And when our mind is experiencing happiness like this, love and compassion have arisen, and we can respond skillfully. We can perhaps express love and compassion for them, or with using skill and wisdom, we may stay silent, or apologize, or act in whichever way is most appropriate to the situation. And this skill is only possible if our mind is spacious, and for it to be spacious, love and compassion are companions or great assistants to a mind that is spacious, calm, and loving. So in order to get to this state where we can encounter an unwanted situation, a situation of potential great conflicts, we need to train our mind in meditation continuously over a lengthy period, coming to understand our minds, our way of thinking with ever greater clarity. And it's through this investigation, this greater self-awareness, self-knowledge arising, that we can start to transform our way of thinking and be more skilled in dealing with others. Because as we become more skilled with ourselves, it's much easier to be more skilled with others. So therefore, through meditating on these topics repeatedly over a sustained period, we develop ever stronger habituation to a skilled way of responding. And slowly we start to see change within ourselves, and we start to see that when we encounter these difficult situations, we don't respond in the same way as before. We don't take it so personally. Our ego doesn't arise so strongly. And then we start to also see that love and compassion arises for the suffering person for us. And then later we start to see that even when this person is a stranger or someone we don't necessarily get on well with, we also feel love and compassion for them. And this shows the ever greater happiness arising within ourselves, because our mind is staying spacious, peaceful and calm, not disturbed by emotions, but rather we are able to develop love and compassion and wisdom and relate to others in a skillful manner.
Consul Yabudo, Penachala Yabudo, Consul Dulo Yabuquento, Consul Jala Yabudo, Consul Sayat Yabota, the Nick Beji, Kiwushu head on Halamindu, and Pigetan, Hamindung Arjura, and Bedinea, Semitone, Gangachi Yungur, 디 데소 nga samna ta na thone ka nga ba chesa dene ge du mangbo samna dene samne mangbo ta de ya ne ta de ya samna di pa shanda ni su ha mo di ya ne ya do samta de di bu su do ko shu cha je ne so so la ge ta sem ma ki be bu su ma ki cha ya da dene ge ane 이묵래 냥아요로와 아니 가sam질래 되네가 삼나가지 슈처 다베네 되네 이묵 슈처 볼래네 되네 디토네라 대신 하신 다 강아세에 돈달라 직 독세세야다 창도야다 디멘베게다 직 라시게야라 소바 되네 직 몽골리고로와 되네 디수기 삼노다다 토네 강아리고로와.
Another common source of mental anguish. The first was how others speak to us, especially those that we are emotionally close to. A second doesn't necessarily involve interaction with others, but it's where others have what we desire. And the illustration that's easy to see, because this is always the starting point, is when others have a lifestyle or wealth that we desire for ourselves. And when we see others having this, and when we want it, but we find it beyond us to achieve it, then this has quite a negative impact on our mind. On one hand, we can think jealousy would arise, but also our mind can become quite narrow, leading to a loss of strength, where we feel we lack capacity, we lack ability, we cannot achieve what we desire. And this can lead to depression, especially if we feel that we are not able to materially take care of those who we have responsibility towards. And we start to feel like we have failed. And from this we can head in a downward spiral. So this comes about due to a way of thinking, a problematic way of thinking. The problem is not material, it's our way of relating to the world, which means it's our way of thinking that is causing us this anguish. So this is something that we too need to look at, to investigate within ourselves.
미수절라 야보다 진주 건조기 튕겨 전보도 둘러 야보도 칼라 야보 사야도 되니 말이야 민도 건조 나시민도 소소기 오차듯이도 다디 먼저 삼로 땅탕이 돈에 부수도 보셔다 강아지 거래. 제가 인데서 야지기 대신 나시바 나진 두세세다 창동야다 되니기 돈에 강아세 둬야 돼 가보자 거래. 디삼디 가르스 거서 삼로 땅에 강아세 거래. 다 삼로 가르스 땅 거래슬라나 델야 저기 촉시 된 거, 촉시해야 돼. 대충 촉시해 삼당. bendigo 제바진데 다오 건조 눌러야 뭐야 보도 이네 지서 잘하고 공 침보래 망고 조선 망고야 샘제 망고 여러 와서 배삼 다야다. 안에 저게 되니기 아주 눌러 가야 돼. 가르쳐서 아주 캬야기 누가 수부 조게 당아주 캬야기 강아대 캬베 강아대 세야기 돈다 둘러고 세상 알아야 둘러 가야 유스다. 건조 배 유튜브 둘러 가세 여배나 망본 건도 림바직 나 공부 나신 찍바래 마도 민두스. 세상 안주 둘러 그게 되게 강아 캬베 강아 세트고도 소소리 조보 되기 제투고도 건조게 돼 딜을 하바 찍가요 말 찍바래 찍부찍이 알아서 진짜 많아야 캬바 가이 민두 와서 베기 진짜 되니게 삼다다 소소게 뽑아인가 미치리 진짜 말하려고 해요. 말하는 게 캬베 둥하데 세기에 캬베기 되었으네 조비 되기디 용구에 찍바래서 되니게 삼정아 교 말해서 고라즈라 예비 민로지 되 고라즈 망아리 민체레데 이네 저상라 칼라사베네 나 저것도야 칼라사에 된다 고바 가래서 저것도야 강아세게 된다. 세상 이 칼라사기요. 저것도야 강아시기요. 세상 저거 자도 대하나 수부다 대호디 칼라세비 디기디 나래 용구에 칼라 저것도 왜 강아데 세기 지비지기 알아서 세상 개발가에 믿어서 소소가 교 말해서 소소 뽑아줘야 돼. 뽑아줘야다. 아니 되니기 뽑아줘야다. 대충 초셔야 되기도 말이야. 되니기 먹고야 믿어서 베게 되니기 삼다वे는 네 삼로 되기 소소야 셈체디 용구 말에 강아리 말에 제가 되니기 인자 수불에 누구 말에 셈 해야지 셈 기볼 흘려야다. 수불을 만해야다. 셈 흘려야다 시디 잡아야 네 두세다 되네 베지다 먹어야 셈 흘려 기부 잡아야 수불에 디부 용 걸어와. 네 셈배 기부야 강아지네요 말에.
So all too often, when people see that others have what they desire, and especially when they feel that what they desire is difficult for them to achieve or is unattainable for them, then this leads to their mind becoming depressed or dispirited, feeling that they cannot achieve a meaningful life because others have what they desire and they cannot fulfill their desires. When one's in this cycle of thought, relying on things, there's no material solution to that. One may turn towards suppressants such as alcohol or drugs of some sort, but this cannot solve the problem. The suffering pain inside that one feels, which comes from a way of thinking. So when we look at ourselves with honesty and we see that we desire the wealth or the material comforts or the prestige or social status that others have, we need to investigate ourselves with honesty and see what it is that we really desire, and also see if these material things that seem so appealing and attractive, if this will really fulfill our needs. Because the solution here is to develop a mind of contentment, a mind that is truly content with what one has. So for example, if you see pictures of your friends and they're wearing really fashionable clothes that look really great, or they're eating delicious food, going to very nice restaurants or on a holiday to beautiful places, and they're posting these very appealing photographs, then we feel this desire and this lack of contentment arising within ourselves, and perhaps even jealousy arising within ourselves. We need to look at this and look at where this is coming from, and think to ourselves think with honesty: would I really be happier if I had this? Would that fulfill my needs, or would I be wanting something better afterwards? Would I be needing to always be doing better than what I'd recently done? Because the reality is, probably all of us have sufficient clothing and suitable clothing to stay warm in the winter, and dress when it's hot, to still dress appropriately for our social needs. And beyond that, we don't really need much more. And likewise with food, I presume everyone is able to eat a nutritious diet and thereby fulfill one's health requirements. But beyond that, we don't really need anything greater than that. So when we look at it with some honesty, the only thing we really are missing out on is social status and prestige. And if we see that, we need to really see how much do we value that, how important that is. And usually when you look at that with some honesty, perhaps a bit of embarrassment arises within oneself as we start to see these things in a truer light, in a more realistic perspective. And here we start then to develop contentment with what we have, no longer desiring to keep up with others or to do better than others, but seeing with sincerity that what we have is sufficient. Others, we recognize, have to strive always to do better and better so as to keep up those appearances. But I'm free of that. I'm free of that. And if they look at me and look down on me, or I believe they look down on me, that doesn't matter. What I have is more than sufficient. And when we give rise to a genuine sense of contentment with what we have, that leads to a strength of mind, because we are able to focus our mind on what's important, not getting lost in things that are meaningless. And in this way, not only do we protect our mind from going in a downward spiral, but we've added strength to our mind, and a strength that we can use to apply to what has meaning.
Bendigo samdave nanga zugi simlia lele chada shiti chache gore dine ngas du samdanda da konzu be jiki benjo yabu da du konzu yabu sambenda du chena sosugi denegi be yabu du konzu sambenda delia jeba cheche yabu da de yena da konzu ya düngam chimboda da shuli gore kasen da semje ma yore nga jena konzu le semje ma yore semje kanga ma yore kasen azuri 직 되게 진에 둘로 양내 양도 제배자고로와 디 사바 공고를 때네 지게 지된 둘로 망보 고를 줘서 망아요 때네 지 소수기 된다 마두베 강아 미기다 등이 되네 저네 미기가야 지 야고도 세데 빼지 가야라 용구이나 메나 선비기 옹아이 되네 저 건바디 미고 지금 말했으면 남도다 말했으면 제 쉬워레스 제가 건조 삼다베나 건조를 되네기 민디 규대 되네기 민디 열마도 기블리제나 nga 기와도 스카르스네 말이야 미기 되네기 지게 통송 땅그레 선바데 되네게 강한 민도 아니 지 nga 저기 직단직 망보니 담바래 아니 야는 요거디 변조 망보 조선 땅고야 되네 강한 민도 진짜도 삼다나 건설의 명체 여러 때 기블리 셈 기블리 삼다는 하셈을 기와도 세상 하나 야가도 삼다베나 나줄리에 셈바디 혈려 차차래 베네 기우 매바디 김자가서 베네 미왕하다 제모 뽐보 침보르나 화베 지금 미왕하다 뽐보 침보 명체보 지고 할때 건설야 자망아 여러와 니까지 변조 체나 나 왕다 체나 건설야 갑제의 네버지에는 망하는 거. 그래서 구송화 마부 해오도 아주 봐도 구송화 치고 오면도 제상 안줄래 년하 매와래. 건줄래 구송화 치지 치고서 년하 여봐서 구송화 치고 그래. 제상 구송화 치지 수불이야 소술이야 소래 년하다 뇌유비기 년하 체부. 때 소술이 레게디 방고 자체부터 레게도 주다 마두가 강아. 근데 강아도 시다 시고 지어라서 강아 모두 파단에데 인지도 거기 인도 지구로 통구도 돼 semana kanga yore sambike tu samtaje kontu chebana ngana sembel hele denige kanga nyunga ngana tanyo odanga kontu jina ngana jiwa do sabe tu samtana soso nga jobo remindu tanga ngana ya tu se kontu ngana jiwa de sembe jiwa do se tu pobokene soso pobokena denige samloti kasori ma sharu jiru denisa semla kanga ligma kanga chungan.
When we notice in ourselves a sense of jealousy arising for what others have, a sense of longing to have that for ourselves, we need to look at the situation with honesty. And in order to achieve these material things that the world values or are valued so in the world, or to achieve the social status and prestige amongst one's circle that is valued so in our world, this requires a lot of effort. And it requires not only a lot of effort, perhaps at work, to earn enough money and to always try and have something better than others, but it also involves a lot of mental worry, in fact a lot of anguish, because to always try and stay out in front or to try and catch up with those who you perceive as being ahead of oneself, one's mind is completely disturbed by this. There's no mental peace because one is always desiring more, looking at others with longing, looking down on others one perceives as behind oneself. There's no possibility of such a person who's always striving to get ahead and be better than others to be happy. There's no possibility for them to experience peace whilst they're dominated by such thoughts. And in fact, people in the world who have great power and influence, they are often looked up to, but they struggle to maintain that. And moreover, there are many people who want to take advantage of them, so they struggle to have close and meaningful friendships with others. There are there's some others who also want to harm them. And therefore people with real power in this world tend to have high security in their homes, travel with a security detail. And we have no experience of that. We can't even conceptualize what it must be like to worry so about oneself and one's family when they are real threats to oneself. And that is part of the price that comes with striving for power and influence. So when you think of it like that, what seemed previously to be so desirable is not so desirable. And then we can start to look with more clarity at what we have. The benefits that come from greater social status or being better dressed than others, this is not so important. This really is of very little meaning. In fact, what I have is more than sufficient. Materially, it's more than sufficient. And in fact, I know that those that I'm close to, They are close to because we have a good relationship, not because they're wanting to take something from me, take advantage of me. And I think if we look at ourselves with honesty, we can see that we are actually happier than these people that so many people look at to and aspire to be like. And then we feel like we are the true lottery winners in life, because we are the happier ones. We're not dominated by craving and desire, but our minds are more peaceful and calmer. And that is the state that we do truly desire.
Dushin Kalia, Zom Jebe, Jimmy Mamboyum, Zom Jebe, Kangba Zibuda, the Nigga Tolia, some Gadun Toya Road, or that in a Daya, Jim Conzo Dinecha, Donganzul Jamidos and Begets and some Tawena, so to get some Tabusto, Namidus and Bending, Nacho Resha, Nalega Hamidu, Nal Jigim, the Zom Jamidos and some two Staven. Some the Ganga Buzore, some the Gangare. The nigger some Gianna and did not delay pass and that down to go my Dijan, the nigger Mambo some time, simply Bustovages, some Makiwa Chayada. Then a chicken, same social same Makiwa, Ganga Udical, Mishandage, social Kishine, Pakishi, Matu, don't the Adam Julia to Mato. Did she and Mishandadi or that you call Conlansha, did don't the Miato Minister, and call Maraj Park if she have to grow, she didn't have to grow. Dinenza, social roba, new acharo, checoro. Dinenza, Dinigi, Gablia, some Pusto, Matange, or that in a console the Beconzo Yapures. In a disone Chicama Hashe, Chihashi, Elite Condutade, Mazupatan, Kimdo Hore, the soul to the Seminaloya, Anchicanga Yungre, Dinenza, Lamsa. In Georgia, I got the museum at Mitapa, Kiji, Juju, Dinenza, and that the nigger some Jessoid, a lady was Chara, Tungu, and dinner, Gelia, Tubu Capture, Capture, and Yoramola, and Yores and Biggie, the nigger Timbuskaya, but the name Chesato, so in a dinner to me at dinner mena, Kyle Macure, so Rangi, and Sayat to local at Chasayo, the Gato Semi Kiwuchi, Yagris and Biggie. The new Sosugi, Povakiatan, Desulia, and the Juadu, Timbuyo, Idio Mares and Biggie, Mitapa, Kiji Juadu, the new Judu, Timbuyo Mares and some Tavena, Sosoli Kangadichuma Chegore.
And this then is another illustration of where the suffering that we experience comes about independent on our way of thinking. So the source of our suffering there is not the wealth and the prestige and the lovely holidays that others are having, whether they have them or not. That alone doesn't impact our happiness. It's our way of relating to it, our mental way of relating to it, our way of thinking. So as it's our way of thinking that leads to our suffering, that too is where the solution lies. Change our way of thinking. So when we see a longing or a desire arising within us, especially if it's then coupled with jealousy, when we observe something that others have that we long for, whether it's something like a beautiful home or garden, or that they're surrounded by friends and famous people, or whether it's they've achieved in life things that we long for, we need to be aware of what's arising in our mind and then investigate, come to know ourselves better, and investigate the situation and see that it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of effort to achieve these things that are so valued in society. But if we think about it with clarity and with wisdom, actually many of the things that society value has no real value. Because they are impermanent phenomena, they change, they don't last. And because the phenomena doesn't last, as well as the happiness that the worldly happiness that the attainment of either situations or possessions leads to, this worldly happiness, that is impermanent. It doesn't last. Hence, no matter what worldly success people have, they desire ever more. And without the mind of contentment, they are never satiated. They are always suffering. They are always unhappy. They are never as they never achieve enough. And when we think like that, our mind doesn't get filled with desire and longing for what we observe that others have. Rather, our mind stays calm and peaceful. But if we don't become skillful like this, the reality is, when we see what others have and we long for this, we start to look at ourselves in a bad way. We start to see ourselves as having failed. We start to see ourselves as being insufficient. And this brings us down and leads us to becoming depressed or unhappy. And then even when we are with our friends, we perhaps complain a lot, complaining about what's all that's wrong in our lives and what's wrong in other people's lives. We may even get angry and take out our anger on our loved ones. And this just leads to our previously harmonious relationships being destroyed. It can also take us in a direction of trying to escape our problems through blotting them out, through drinking and the like. And this too is no solution to these problems. So rather we need to be aware of what's arising in our mind. And then take quiet time for ourselves and look at ourselves and look with honesty and with clarity, reminding ourselves that everything that seems so desirable in this world is impermanent, whether it's a material object or it's a situation such as prestige or reputation or being surrounded by friends. These are impermanent. They have no intrinsic value to them at all. To focus on that as being an end in itself worthy of achieving is to really miss the possibility to live a life of great meaning and achieve something remarkable within oneself. So in order then to achieve a calm and spacious mind, one needs contentment. And to develop contentment, the most skillful meditation is one on impermanence, seeing that worldly phenomena, again, whether it's material phenomena or situations such as reputation, these are impermanent, and therefore they change, and they are not worthy goals worthy of striving for in and of themselves. So this is the way to achieve the spacious mind of contentment.
Subolia Nazaro Shleadu, Subola Mara Chuna, Tizenigi Nazaliadu, Mendi Saudua, Mendi Sache, and then Nazi Setablia, Naziliadu, Mendi Saudua. Dinashi, the Geshe Rabten, Chikasosuki, Payabu Chabina, Pacho, when Sosolia, Anjik, Gangatea, the Diniledu. Denigi yondu kabla simli makiwada simpusto ledu kabla karsam tangasan paju mitile jamni samdaya da jamni komya anda da shengi mi benjo ya boda tunge ya bodine samta sosola ngale mindu sembege samna kanga ledu delia dechu chokshe oda dechu chokshe samjeba che dojo chokshe rangya boboke samdaya me nazid ledu me savana ji denig kanga ledu samle ditaya na denigi mi mongbo soso chik zom cheten chede ngal zome me de denigi sam kangale de kabla semma ki bale de kabla lamsa delia tembu yo mara yuwa ro chochure se midaba samdan soso le na bobo ki ya da denigi bobo ko samda ina denigi samda digi 저기 디소 삼로 다제 삼로 강아디게 삼로 두스타베나 아니 강아디 세 투야 지다 아니 강아디 데 rangi lusemla manyobache sembe debu digiyoyada gangaseade digiyoyade dia yane yando dusine temtem troyade chagorwa.
In brief then, when we experience problems, the very first thought should be, what is the source of this problem? Is it physical or is it mental? And once we've identified the source, the second step then is to apply the appropriate antidote. So if we're experiencing a problem and identify it as a physical source, then apply the appropriate physical solution. If we're cold, we put on warm clothing. That's physical. If we are ill, that's physical. We apply a physical solution through seeking skilled medical treatment and following the medical advice that we receive. And if the source of our problem is mental, then we need to rely on a mental solution. In other words, if we are suffering mentally, it's because of our way of thinking. So that's what we need to deal with. So we've looked at some different sources of mental suffering, such as when we experience abuse from others, whether physical or verbal, whether they physically or verbally treat us in an unwanted manner. We need to be aware that our suffering then is coming about due to our way of thinking, and we need to now apply our meditative training in this situation and come to see that this person before us is suffering, and therefore they are merely expressing their own inner turmoil towards us. So therefore it's not about ourselves at all. And rather then be aware that because this person is suffering, they are acting in this way, love will arise within us for this suffering person, compassion will arise within us, wanting them to be freed of this inner turmoil. And then we can respond to them with skill, and our own inner peace is not lost. We will leave that encounter and not be disturbed by what was said or what was done. We won't hold resentment towards that encounter. Likewise, if we see the situation that others have, and desire arises or longing for that arises within us, investigate this, look at this, and rather transform that way of thinking, give rise to a mind of contentment, being truly pleased and satisfied with what we have, not desiring more. And when we are in gatherings, gatherings where we perhaps don't really want to be, or we're with people we'd rather not be with, then the way to deal with that skillfully is not merely to endure, because that implies a mind that is suffering, but one is just staying silent. But rather to transform that situation, seeing that any difficulty that is arising because we are in the company of people we'd rather not be in the company of, this is coming from our way of thinking. And therefore, if we are skillful, we can change that way of thinking. And the easiest way there is to remind ourselves that this encounter is impermanent and it will not last. It will end in some minutes or maybe a couple of hours. It will end. And therefore, there's no need to get particularly upset. The time will pass whether we get upset or not. So let's rather not get upset and let it pass peacefully and harmoniously. So therefore, in brief, when you experience the arisal of some suffering feelings, look at that and see what the source is, physical or mental, and then apply the appropriate antidote.
Genla nugudu shengi makaba chigdu chesa shen se ma jiba chayada shen panyo do panogo korala jing anzolia dong nami de sosole ma jiba cha mi tsup sheba ne shenla neba ran ya mi de ran xin yiga le mi jia cha dina xin lu yu ko ne shenla neba ina aning pan ji jeba ina an chu le de chesa phal zui ma ja ran yi ma ran xin yiga ma jiba tang hi samlo na le shenla nebe samba jigo sambe sambo yuna Genla Magawe Samla, Genla Nubi, Samla Chuba, Tse Samba Chukina, Digi Dong, Numbu Duksha, Signi Tsupshaya, Luyukone Pecheta, Nedo Tayada Gumala, the Nigli, Chesas, Genla Nubi, Tse Samba, Yahu Mindu, Digi Japan, Genla Nugudu, Genla Numazi, Shengi, Sosolache, Sosaka, Rashi Nigala Gama, the Pando Kuni Mindu, Duch in the Jeba Samtashi, one go Chela. Dingy Lunga used me, Genla never sets out in Jimmy, somebody, Yana Yan Tangur. Dinga to Comshiltine, go up the Nigi, some town Yobaina, Negi, the Nigi, go up Leo, or that did in the Digmaris and Lamsan Jingor. She said, the names are Mongo Chitu, which is the Danes and Anzuki, nearly, Nanzuki name. She hang Lunga used me when Shella Nube Samada, Shella Sevichivat, Yaka Gunichimea, Nibi Shella Nova Chewasam, some of the Gunet Tangme, some big Diana doing some town with the kitchen, but Dingo Chagore.
As is widely accepted in the world, that when one's ill, one should receive good medical advice and follow that advice. And also, as a companion to this in the world, it's widely accepted that in order to remain healthy, one should eat a healthy diet as well as exercise, so as to prevent or limit the rise of disease and illness. So this is known and accepted with regard to the material world. But that same technique should be followed with regard to our inner world. So we've heard about if one experiences problems, how to deal with that. But moreover, to prevent the risal of inner turmoil, to prevent the risal of afflicted minds such as desire or anger, one needs to train one's mind in meditation. And the more successful one's training, in other words, the more one is habituated to these meditative techniques, then the less likely one is to bring any harm to others and experience harm oneself. And the easiest meditation to engage in here, the easiest meditation to prevent mental unhappiness, is to reflect on, I do not want to add to the pain of others. I do not want to increase the suffering burden that others are already having to carry. I commit to not making anyone's life more difficult than it already is. And we take that as a starting point, thinking about others, and think about how our behavior impacts on them. Thinking that I know how I feel when I meet someone whose face is black with anger. Immediately I become afraid. Even if they're not upset with me, fear arises within me. And no one wants to do that to others. No one wants to have that impact on others. So thinking like this, we say, we commit to being aware of our mind, aware of how we're showing our mind, expressing our mind. Because if I am unhappy inside, I will show that unhappiness to others. Likewise, if I'm unhappy inside, I'm likely to speak in a harsh and unwarranted manner to others. Or if I experience a small problem, I'm likely to explode and take that out on others. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to add to the burden of suffering of others. So through reflecting like this, subtler and subtler levels, again and again, repeatedly over a sustained period, we're developing this mind of restraint, which comes about with a commitment to bring no harm. A commitment not to add to the pain and suffering and misery that others already have to experience. And the stronger we have developed this within ourselves, then when we experience dangerous situations where the afflictions may well arise within us, it'll be much easier for us to deal with this skillfully, because this habituated mind will naturally arise within us. And thereby, we will be able to ease our own inner turmoil and respond to the situation skillfully, whether that situation is coming from another person or whether it's things not going the way we want them to. We will be able to deal with that skillfully, keeping our own mind spacious and calm, and thereby certainly not add to the pain and difficulty that others experience, but rather to ease their burden.
야구래 세션이야 되게 주나 배 야구와 세션이야 되게 주나 생기 강아 마중 배 야구래 삼제 세션이 되게 주나 배 야구래 삼야다 되니게 삼다제 단 나랑이네 생기 되게 주야다 생기 강아 세야 누가 강용게 판도 강도도 지긴 삼백에 소소게 세션이야 가브리아 셴리아 아니 시윤 토네 로고지야다 마신바 랍제제는 그네 로고 강토도 제네 지기사 셴야 지 도고에 사야 돈예메 받다 누로메 받 디네 강아 파직니 소수게 뉴바 강양 지용기 콘솔리아 펜버주제 강아데 세기 세베 삼다야다 야지 소수게 류이권에 지게 레 로제야다 지상 류가 이숨교권에 아니 소수게 뉴변주고 토네 간데지 파 로고체 판도 강도도 지기 삼백 삼로디 야네 야도 셴리 디기 전에 빼야고래 셴지 강아선에 야고 휴레 삼지 디 삼로디 야네 야노 땅바이나 디기 딩원고셔 디네 딜리 삼로 여바이나 아니 셴야 집에 야고를 차와네 오 콘도 야고도 날 민도 선배 삼는 리기 말이 그래서 셴 야고 중에 야고로 와서 어디 야고 중에 콘도 끼고 배 야고를 선배 소소리야 지수 일하나 가와 삼느냐 가라라 기르마도 오다 날 민도서 교 책 말. 제자디 대송원 거 하고 제자 소소의 류가 이수미 거네. 셴야도 지긴 선배 삼는 양네 야도 땅바이나 아니 대소 셴리 잠제 셴 둥아 세네 배야고를 셴 디규즈나 야고 쇼레 삼백에 삼 니던달랑아랑 류가 이수미 원주고네 가리 톤에 판도 제도네 지긴 선배 삼도 모두 신 삼도 양네 양도 땅바이나 디 나중에 셈이 톤에 강가 용화야 원고라 차고래.
The first meditation then that I've just mentioned to encourage you to engage in is the commitment not to bring harm. Then a companion that goes with us is the wish to be of benefit to others. So this is where we engage in the reflection that others and myself, we are all the same in that we desire lasting, stable happiness. And to achieve that, we want to be freed of problems and difficulties. This is something we all have. This wish is something that we all have. And as others are the same as me in wanting this, and as others are the same as me in struggling to achieve this, not only will I, on the one hand, not add to the burden of their difficulties, I will also help them wherever I can. Wherever I have the ability and the capacity to be of benefit to others, to not only not add to the burden of suffering of others, but to ease that burden of suffering, I will do so. No matter who that person is, whether it's someone that I'm emotionally close to, a stranger, whomever. Where I have capacity to help, I will do so. Whether that's through helping others materially, or helping others with emotionally, where they're having emotional turmoil. If I can ease that burden, I will do so. Where we all have our own set of skills and talents, and I will use these to benefit others. I'll use these to add to the happiness that others are experiencing and ease their suffering. And if we include this in the meditation, so if we have both these steps, the first commits to bringing no harm to others, and the second is where, in accordance with my capacity, I will bring happiness into the lives of others. Then we will experience no jealousy for others. Rather, whenever we see others have success, even if it's success we would like for ourselves, we will rejoice. We will, with sincerity, be happy at what they have achieved. So this shows that if one has developed such a way of thinking, one's mind is light and spacious and joyous, taking delight in the welfare of others, taking delight in being of benefit to others, easing their burden. So this then is a second key meditation.
Zandine samtana shenle digi chuna sambeta shenje kanga segu sam din zange anya lunga yusum longju tone kari tone shenle pembi trutun digi sambe samde yane yadu du sine ngazu komshi yobeina tin shenje kanga sosugi nibe jobege shenle anaji 교조리아 로봇체베네 콘조 강아세야다 콘조 강아세도 콘졸리아 네 강아세도 콘졸리아 아니 디기요야 셈 강아세야 디기요야 아니 콘조이네 소소라 아데 미디게 양아줄리아 고치어서야 미모 마신 외네다 오늘 지게 야고치어서 가고 쉬우체 셈이야 미디게 지게 암초데 디네시 고요데네 셈이야 가랑라차 지산 소소라라기 셴레 대화티고로 지산 대화티 소수기 로봇체 아니 콘졸레 디기두고로 디디고 안치 소소에게 류유 톤에 샬리아 아니 지금 레가 로봇체야다 안지 연대 톤에 지 로봇체야라서 봐 진짜도 안 샬리아 디기두고 콘졸레 강아세 디기두야다 아니 라할이나 아니 데니 치토에 야고 중선배 소소레 셈을 흘려야 샨디 톤 데니기 인자 셴기 디기세야다 강아세야데 소소 마가워로 지외네 미신이 자워딩 안 저기 소소나 마가가 지금 유에 있나 니 마가 제인데 가능스 매와서 그래서 안쪽이 채와 제바 있는 마가 세디 매와서도 약간 하고 둘둘줘야마도 야주고 말봐. 다 소소 마가 소소 파 잠제 제샤바는 제베도 비에는 그 마가 돼 소소야 거부쳐야 제마 얘마 자워 있네. 치수에 조고 차지 빼마시기 조고 나사 쇼차에게 연구로 가지 소수기 잠지기 돕기 파주디 소소래 전부치가 수두고래 소소 콩로도 비 콩로나 제가고 거고 지금면서 파 콩로나 뇌기베나 수고보셔야다 지 수두말 두알마도 강한테 망아 차길마도 자합대 자체 차길마도 년차두고마 소수기 잠지 소소를 야마가 집에는 소소 파 잠지제 소수기 팬도 주셔바나 이런 소소리야 년수두고래 제가 디네상 잠지 섬다만 섬도 배마서 뉴베침보 세대다 세대를 소소이네 르르차야 셈기보차 미션레네 판도지투야 안에 소소기 직시베이네 미신지도 오데 미 담도도 미 점리들 미모바 미데네 시어스 미배하고 요로스도 미시베이네 안에 곧담디기 미 퇴양된 셈마가라라 차차고 진짜 되네 현상은 저기 되네게 삼롱 온거 되네 생기 디기세야다 동아 배하고래서 야네 잠지 고미하다 내일야 룽아 이숨요 권에 샬라 팬백강도 지인 세베 야네 야도 삼다바네 되네게 삼는데까지 뉴버셔 셔여바네 소소레 셈기와 샬라 기와 수투야다 소소기 뉴비 쪽바이나 랑게 샬라 판도 지투야 차고래 진짜 되네 현상은 저기 셈기 강아세디 대중의 삼다다rin bakhashi shirwa 진이게 삼다바에는 정원이라 판도여 바치리 그래서 디네 마도 셈기 강아 디 셈기 삼다시 마도 인가 주면다 면주치야다 디네 돈에 세투야 가고 제거로와.
As I started out mentioning in our talk today, that to overcome our mental problems and difficulties through relying just on the material world, this cannot solve the problems of our inner world. Rather, if one engages in these two meditations, especially if one does so in a habituated way, in other words, on a daily basis, one engages in these meditations, an incredible transformation will come about. So these two meditations, the first one, which is the commitment not to bring harm to others, this leads to the rise of compassion to others, because compassion is the wish for others to be freed of suffering. So we make in the commitment, I will not harm others. I don't want to experience suffering, and others don't want to either. I commit to not harming others. And one knows then, as a byproduct of acting in this way, one will start to receive less harm from others. So therefore, one is acting skillfully and compassionately towards oneself too, as well as to others. And then the companion meditation of others desire happiness just like I do. I want them to be happiness because I also desire this, and we are no different. And wherever I can help others achieve happiness using my material resources, my skills and my talents, in accordance with my abilities, I will help others. We start to feel then a sense of closeness to others, starting to see ourselves really as, on a profound level, as no different from anyone else, in that we desire happiness, we desire to be freed from suffering. And on that profound level, there's no difference. And as we develop this stronger within us, this mind of equanimity towards others, it becomes ever easier to commit our way of thinking to ensure that it doesn't go in a harmful direction, but rather in a loving and compassionate direction. And this starts to have a profound impact on the way we relate to others, the way we see others, because we start to feel a sense of closeness to whomever we meet. Whether it's someone who has shown us kindness and we have a harmonious relationship with them anyway, whether it's strangers or whether it's people who actually don't really like us very much, we start to feel a sense of closeness to others because we don't see ourselves as so different. And we express that feeling of closeness to them, on one hand, by not adding to their pain and their difficulty, but actually to taking away from their burden of suffering by helping them in whichever way we can. And this then leads to others starting slowly to see us in a different way too. They start to see our inner transformation, they start to experience that. And they therefore relate to us differently. And the people before with whom we had fractious relationships, that starts to change. They no longer see us as a threat or perceive us as an enemy, but rather they start to see us as a friend. And the inner transformation leads to the experience that wherever we go, whomever we encounter, whatever the situation is, we feel a sense of closeness towards others. we feel a sense of affinity with others, and we express this towards others. And this means no matter where we are, we're not surrounded by people that we feel that we don't feel close to. And rather we feel a sense, through this feeling of closeness towards others, our mind is gentle and spacious, our way of acting and interacting is gentle and kind. And this has a powerful impact on everyone that we encounter. And we start to become an inspiration in our community. We start to bring peace and harmony between members of our community. And when this life comes to an end, we will be remembered well, and remembered for something quite extraordinary in our society. Not about wealth and fame and prestige, but that we've added to kindness in our community. We've eased the burden of suffering in our community. And this entire transformation comes about through us developing our own minds, becoming happier and more peaceful within ourselves. And as that happens, as that transformation comes about, inner turmoil becomes weaker and weaker and less frequent. And we become much more stable, and our happiness and inner peace, this too, becomes much more stable.
Do chine samdang na do chine chukto samdang de so so nyamyon chi sa ngro odu chine ode tingwe na de yungdo sembe da do chine samdang na jema do stang we na so so ge oda kanga ji du kabla tine samdang shu ta we na oda kanga se u sembe ge da so so nyamyon ro chi le bu ro da ga ji do chine hyon so 심주라 제네 안 제발 제베나 간스리기도 소 냠녀라 간리기도 하고 그러데 언더스치는 한 삼다디 계침물에 쉬어이 한데네 자다만도 난 니리 다 자사래 저다다 로시마 아주 하자 한직 제 야버지 도스치네 하자 좀비하게 된데라시 테스트를 쉬어야
Our time together this year has now come to an end. And yes, this is impermanent too. So my parting thoughts that I've shared with you is this meditation that we've engaged in now. And whilst you've been sitting here, looking at me, listening to what I'm saying, this is a meditation because what you've heard, you've thought about. And that is the process of meditation. So it's my hope that if what I've said has made some sense to you, then great. But my hope is that you don't just leave it at this one talk, but you take what you've heard today and think about it. And the more you think about it, if you do so, have a meditation practice, a daily meditation practice, where you think about these things that I've said, they start to have a greater impact on your mind in that meditation is the process of habituation, of familiarization. And these things that you think about, they start to become ingrained within oneself. And this is the process of transformation, of inner transformation. So if you found some truth in what you've heard today, it's my sincere hope that in these couple of months that we have apart, when you have some quiet time, that you use it to think about this and develop ever greater peace within oneself and skill in bringing happiness and harmony into our world. So this is something of great importance, and it's a skillful tool to bring this about. So thank you, and until we have the opportunity to meet next year, I hope that you have a wonderful time with your friends and your family and your relatives. So thank you.